Hi, I'm Matt from California, and you're listening to Call Your Hits, a Storm Riders Airsoft podcast.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. My guest today, as you heard, is Matt, the Storm Wizard, a friend of the show and one of our Foreign Legionnaire, a Discord member, and just a good buddy of mine. And today we're here to talk to Matt about something real special that he's got cooked up. Starting on Friday, April 18th of 2025 of this year, Matt is going to be hosting an event called Get Smoked, which is a Storm Riders Foreign Legion approved, sanctioned, whatever you want to call it, event. Which is essentially a bit of an airsoft pub crawl but with extra steps. So I invited Matt to come on to the show to talk to us about the event, sort of what it involves, what it entails, and to just, talk a little bit about what that's going to be like for airsofters attending with Matt out in California. So Matt, welcome back, man.
Thanks. I mean, it's always good to be here. I mean, it's especially exciting talking about, my first event that I'm arranging myself.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have considered this even as little as like 6 months, a year ago, but you guys have inspired me. And I mean, you're such a bro that I'm like, Phil does this and he's an inspiration, just like Pat and I can do this too. Like these dudes are bros who like airsoft, who like games, who know what a player wants. And I'm like, I think I know some of those things at least. Right. And
Yeah.
if I don't, I hope I have friends that'll set me straight, because here's what we're going to do is we're going to do a 3-day, open event. We're going to go to open play at 3 different fields in Northern California, 2 premier fields, 2 of my favorite fields, very, very different fields, and one that we are still deciding on. For Sunday, we are going to do and I'm going to work backwards here. Sorry, because this is just how we're doing this, turns out. Sunday, we're going to be doing the All Patriot Airsoft Easter game. They always put out Easter eggs. They're my favorite field. They're what I consider my home field, where I play my best, where I play my favorite brand of airsoft.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that's the one you've talked to us about in the past several times. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's an outdoor village style field, flat, but it's got some overgrowth, grass. They've got a good size ready area, plenty of parking. I've seen them go up to 180 players, I want to say.
Wow.
On the field. It gets a little crowded, but still a fun day. And I've played there with as few as 10, 20 players and had a really excellent time. There's a lot of good reasons that that I consider them like my home field. They're my field of choice. Quality refs, quality play, good owners. One of them loves playing out there. The other one is a real people person. He'll talk to you in between rounds. They're both absolute great dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be our Sunday game to top off everything else. On Saturday, we're going to be going to CZ Paintball, which, despite its name, does airsoft every weekend of the month and does one weekend a month that is just airsoft. And that one is much different. It is all up and down. It is a small-ish, but very hilly, very wooded area. There's a river that runs through the middle of it. It's not actually small at all unless you compare it to like Guardian Center or
Gotcha.
like Recruits or anything like that. It's a good-sized field. Where they have regular, like a speed area, because they started out as paintball, right? But then there's a whole lot of really cool structure and woods out there that you can play in, and out there camouflage is king, and DMRs and snipers are an actual legitimate thing where if they'll wait long enough, they could poach you from the right angle, right? And so this is a really cool place. They've got all day games. They sometimes do night games. I don't know if they'll be doing it that weekend, but I'm planning to hit the day game starting at 9 a.m. going until they stop play at about 5 or 6 and going from there. And then Friday's the one I'm not sure about. Friday, my current plan as it stands is to go to GamePod EVIC in Antioch. It's actually called GamePod Combat Zone. Nobody ever calls them Combat Zone, but there you go.
Sure.
But I figured that airsofters from other places would want to go to EVIC because like it's kind of, is a name out there, right? Like,
yeah.
You when you first Google airsoft whatever, the first thing that comes up is EVIC.
Yeah.
So I figured that'll be the place, right? Also, my buddy's Fatal Prescription, that's their home field, is GamePod. I haven't played out there in a few years. I'm going to make a point to get out there over the next couple of months and make sure it's something I would want to invite friends to. I have backup plans, but they're, for various reasons, not quite suitable. Sac County Airsoft is very small. super cool place, but it's their general play field maxes out at like 12 people before you've got a
Mm-hmm.
crowd. CQB City is a similar issue. Once it gets a little crowded, it gets crowded, and game pod's a little bigger. And like I said, there's a thing with Evic. I took Ben there when he came out visiting, and we had a great time wandering through. Drew and I used to go there now and then, and we'll just wander the aisles and look at all the a million different plate carriers, all these belt rigs, chest rigs, every blaster you can imagine on the wall, right? They've got
Yeah.
the Stens and machine guns and big old rifles and all sorts of cool stuff to look at. And there's a great viewing platform up by the camouflage. It's a 2-story store. And up on the second floor, they actually have plexiglass windows that you can look through and watch the airsoft game going on right there in the field.
Awesome.
So that's my plan for now, is we are going to start Friday with the evening game. It'll be going from 5 to 10 Friday night. We'll be playing from 9 to 5 the next day, 9 to 5 Sunday. So it's going to be 3 solid days of airsoft, which is why I call it get smoked, from the classic military term of getting smoked, which is when they just make you do exercises
Yes.
as a punishment, right?
Yeah.
The classic, you're going to work out until I get tired sort of situation.
Yeah. And it was so interesting to me that, you're talking about like 3 days of airsoft, and it's like, oh, it's just airsoft. But like, I know regularly, routinely, you're posting out like your workout stats for like a day of airsoft, and it's like, oh, I did 4,100 calories today. No big deal, right? So like 3 days back to back, I think for people who haven't experienced, well, obviously getting smoked in the military is one thing, but like who haven't experienced like multiple subsequent days of airsoft or any sort of physical activity, definitely would be smoked inducing. Like you would definitely be feeling it, especially like after the first day you'd be okay, but then day 2 you'd be like, okay, I'm starting to feel it, right? So
absolutely, bro. I've actually started training for it, using the super patented Storm Riders method of setting goals that are achievable even if you mess up a little bit.
yeah, exactly.
Is I've set myself, I want to play 5 games before April, which I don't think is hard at all. I did one already, January, like this last weekend, 3rd, 2nd, whatever. Sunday I was out playing. I don't think it's unachievable, so I'm going to try and play 5 games, including at least one at each of the fields I'm planning to run this thing at this year. And so I'm preparing to do that. I've also got a raffle we're doing. So I'm going to be reaching out to other sponsors, other vendors and stuff, seeing if we can't get some swag out. I know the Airsoft Challenge program is coming out Sunday. They will be there. They'll be set up on Sunday. They'll be raffling a gun that I donated for this specific thing for this event. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you'll be able to run into me anywhere along those and get your raffle tickets. Everybody will get a chance to win this KWA Tekken 45 deal. It's an electric blowback. It's just not my own style, but it's working. It's in perfect order. It's an awesome blaster. I've played it a few times, but we're going to put it away now until we get it all painted up and done up to raffle off.
Awesome. And I know we talked, you and I, like we'll send some Foreign Legion swag down as well for, whoever decides to show up, that, whether it's stickers or shirts, we'll figure it out sort of at some point down the road, because you being in the States, it doesn't take like weeks for stuff to get to you. So we can get that all figured out. But I think what was really cool, I mean, when we were talking about this, and you posted on the Discord, obviously, like the call to the folks, which is great. What's interesting too was that it's not just like you're playing in one place for 3 days in a row, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but like you're playing in multiple different locations, and those locations are inherently different. So you were talking about how CZ, right? You get a lot more like woods and like snipers and DMR, whereas if you look at All Patriot, where it's more like a village situation, well, you probably will get a little bit less of that and more of the like high speed, hi, I'm Matt, running around my belt kind of situation. And so for people who are maybe only experiencing or who only have experienced like one aspect of airsoft, you can actually get to experience the huge tent that is airsoft in a very short amount of time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons I chose these 3 places the way I did, is because they are each different from each other. GamePod is a warehouse. It's a close-in CQB environment. CZ paintball is it's a woods. It's entirely different. Like they are all about Milsim West up there. The owner loves it. He goes out and does it. So they like adapt a little bit of that When they run their own events, they're very, very strict about PID. Like you have to be wearing the right colors. You have to be wearing long sleeves. If he catches you on the field out of it, you're out of the game, sort of thing.
Wow. Yeah.
So he runs his field just normally as a little bit of a more milsim oriented rather than skirmishes or CQB or speed QB or speed soft, depending on, who's going where to play what, right?
Yeah.
So that's something that I don't do a whole lot of. I've done some, like a Battle for LA was a bit light milsim flavored. It ended up being a sillier thing than I thought it was going to be. But I've done a few actual events up here at CZ Paintball, and each of them was a really well put together event. They're very receptive to their customers and to their feedback. Every time they run an AAR, he runs a live reading of his AARs that he got back.
Oh, wow.
He'll wait 2 weeks to get all the emails in, and he'll go through it and be like, 10% of you like this, 15% of you like this. Here are the comments. Aha, that's hilarious. Great. So great field to be up at, but obviously very, very different than either of the other two. And then, as we discussed, APA is a village style outdoor. Like, it's a pretty common sort of thing to see in airsoft. If you watch the airsoft episode of South Park, that's the sort of situation we're talking about, right? Yeah. So it's three. It's very, very different airsoft, and it's going to be rad as heck, dude. They're going to have different ready areas, different communities that are around those areas. Like, I play all over the place because I don't have an established team. I'm a big boy with big boy money. I can afford to fill my gas tank and drive to a few different places.
You're playing in lots of different places, but for people, and we'll talk a little bit sort of at the end about like how people can get in touch and join you and stuff like that. We can discuss that. But so let's say I'm coming out to this, right? Maybe I'm not from California. Maybe I'm driving in from, I don't know, Colorado or, Utah or whatever. What would you recommend in terms of like prep? What should people, obviously, like, airsoft, like necessities, like you got to bring your blaster or whatever, but like what should people be thinking about in terms of prep, in your opinion? Like, how should they not just be getting ready, but like in terms of gameplay, like, do you need like, a go bag or like what or like a fob bag? Like, what are you thinking about?
Okay. So CZ, let's start game pod. Game pod's just a regular CQB. You park in the parking lot, you walk 10 feet in the door. CQB, sorry, that's easy. You walk 10 feet in the door. There's the ready area. You can go back out to your car easily enough. Bang, bang. It's simple, clean. You bring in your bags to the ready area. It's skirmishes, so you don't need any extra stuff. They don't do medic rules or anything like that. You don't need any medic bags. You won't need any IFAKs. You won't need to carry water on the field because it's going to be like half-hour rounds with breaks in between.
Okay.
So if you get really dehydrated, sure, bring water on the field, but it's not required. You don't need to be doing like silly Taylor levels of gear where he's like, I'm going to be in the woods for a week straight doing nothing.
Yeah.
So that one won't be a big one. If anything, you take to a normal weekend play. CZ will be a little bit different. It's going to be very green. I'm going to be wearing jungle tiger stripes if it matters to anybody, like if they want to match me.
Yeah.
I like the jungle tiger, so that's what I'll be wearing that day. It's very green. There's a lot of space around there. So bring sunscreen. Just be prepared to be outside all day for that one. That one, I would take a fob or ready area bag because they run in 2 chunks through the day. They don't run rounds. They run before lunch, after lunch, and it's all continuous play. So that one you want a bag for. You want water, you want snacks, you want extra ammo and a speed loader if that's something you might run out of. I don't put nearly as many rounds down when I play there just because of it's so much like the sight lines aren't what I'm used to. I can't just lay fields of fire across open areas and get myself across like I can at other fields. So it's a little bit more, you got to think a little bit more as you move across that field. And when you respawn, you'll be going back to an area that is not the ready area, that is not near the cars, that is actually like a good, 5-minute walk. Not real big, but a little bit of a walk from the car, right? It's worth it to have that sort of stuff. You still won't need like maps or spare batteries for anything but your blaster. Might bring an extra air tank if you've got a really inefficient blaster sort of situation. I don't bother. I either swap out at lunch for my spare tank or I get refilled at lunch if I need it. I have not run out of air there, but I just like to be careful.
Yeah, for sure.
So that one, that's about it. It's out there. It's a drive out. I'm based out of Stockton, so I think about all this stuff. There's no real better place to stay because of the way these fields are. They're like in a triangle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm right in the center of the triangle because one's in Antioch, California, one is in Oroville, California, and the last is in Galt, California. All right, so they make a triangle if you want to look on a map, and it's a good sized thing. We're going to be driving in about an hour and a half to Oroville from my base, 40 minutes to Antioch, 40 minutes to Galt. If you want to do Sacramento, it would make one of those drives shorter, the other two longer. It doesn't really matter. There's no good place. So anywhere between Stockton and Sacramento would be good for lodging. And then from there, the last day, Galt, all Patriot, it's outdoors. They have a nice big ready area, sunscreen, snacks, absolutely bring snacks, but they do 45, half hour to 45-minute rounds with a 15-minute break. Sometimes a little short, like a half hour round and a 10-minute break. Either way, you'll have time to reload, get snacks in the ready area, all that stuff. You won't need to carry it on the field, so I wouldn't worry about a bag there. If you carry like a lot of gear, one of their parking lots is close enough that you can just ready up there instead of using their ready area. The other one's an overflow parking lot. It's kind of annoying, but it's all right.
Gotcha. And aside from the airsoft, I mean, one of the things that we have really started, I mean, starting with last year and, with Iron Horse and stuff, is a sense of community amongst ourselves, like the Foreign Legion, and like we're going to play airsoft, but like we came to hang out, right? Like,
All right.
So any thoughts about that? Like extracurriculars, let's call them.
Yes, actually, absolutely. I have plans for this. And I'm going to have, unfortunately, this can't go to everybody, but we're all going to be going out. I'm going to buy a few of my closer friends from the Surfles, the Storm Rider Foreign Legion. I'll be buying them lunch and one of these days, but we're all going to be going out to lunch the first day. I'm going to do In-N-Out Burger Friday afternoin.
Classic.
Before we go to Game Pod, because I think that's a classic California thing to do. Everybody should try In-N-Out. I'm going to have a 3x3 with grilled onions and probably a fry because we're going to be exercising that night and I'll want it to carry me through the night.
Yeah.
And then around our area, there's lots of interesting stuff. If you want to come out a week early, there are things around here. We've got air museums. We have air bases. So there's a lot of Air Force stuff around here. Some history around, not around Stockton necessarily, though it is California's second largest and oldest inland port, which is why our baseball team is called the Ports.
Huh.
If you're into if you're into shipping, that's a thing. I know, like I should know better by now than to assume people aren't into this stuff, right? Because we know a friend, like you and I share a very good friend who's into a very specific type of smock. Right?
Yes.
So people are into all sorts of cool stuff, right? There's that. We're near McClellan Air Base, so they've got an air museum up there. Castle has an air museum in Merced, which isn't too far from us. If you want to do wine tasting or olive oils, we are the place. All right, there is fresh produce. There is award-winning wines, like globally award-winning wines, all through our area. There's Lodi, Napa, a few other places around. Just a huge wine-growing region. So if that's a thing you want to do. We're about 6 hours north of Disneyland. So, that's a bit of a stretch, but if you're driving through that way and it's something you wanted to do, hey, hit it. We're about 2 hours west of Yosemite. If you ever wanted to see Yosemite, it's kind of a famous national park. It's one of the most beautiful things you can see in the entire world. And I'll tell you, I've been around the world and I've seen some things. The only thing that compares in natural beauty is Afghanistan. That is a good looking country if they'd stop blowing each other up. But there's that. If you wanted to see San Francisco or Oakland, that's a hour and a half drive. You could use the Bay Area Rapid Transit, which is a train system, to get out there easily from Antioch, which is actually when people come in, I recommend they come into San Francisco, get on the BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit, into Antioch, and then I can pick them up and take them wherever, or that's closer to our fields that we're going to be playing at.
Yeah.
And so, of course, San Francisco is its own thing, right? Like there's the pier, there's like old historic stuff. Sacramento itself has Old Sacramento, which has a classic, like old hundreds of year old buildings, some of the earliest buildings in California, dating before the gold rush, even like before California was a thing that people thought about, right? Which is very cool if you're into that kind of history. For me personally, I'm going to be getting in and out with my buddies. We're going to be having burgers and having a good time, right? Where we're going to do some airsoft. The next day, I'll probably pack up my food. And then for dinner Saturday night, I'm planning to hit Maria's Taqueria, which is my very favorite taqueria. And then we'll all sit around in my garden and do the smoking and joking thing. For those who are of age, we'll be smoking, hanging out in my garden and stuff. For those who are not, you'll be welcome to hang out, but you will not be in the smoking area. Sorry for some of you younger folks, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, right?
Everyone who listens to this podcast should be adults, so we won't have any problem with that.
Yes. I'm not inviting youth out to just hang out at my place, okay?
Yeah.
This is happening.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So yeah, and then Sunday night, we'll see where we want to go. I'll talk to the dudes. I can't imagine why we wouldn't get like a pizza. I really loved there's a place called Dante's, gets big, huge pizzas that cheesy and tasty and, nothing that hits after a day of airsoft, like just a big pile of carbs and protein and salt and fat.
Especially after 3 days of airsoft.
Yeah, that I imagine will be like the shawarma scene, like at the end of Avengers, where we'll all just be sitting around like...
Not talking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just... So what is it... What is it that you're most excited for over these 3 days that you've thought about it? Like, I know that you mentioned they have different events going on, like the Easter egg hunt and stuff. Like, is there anything in particular that you're really looking forward to?
If it weren't for the event, the Easter egg hunt is my very favorite game of airsoft of the year.
Yeah?
Galactic Civil War battle for like nothing, dude. I just love running around grabbing eggs. I feel like Leon in Resident Evil 4. I have like my pistol up. This is the only time I ever use a dump pouch. I'm like reaching around for eggs, like looking out for dudes while I grab eggs off the window system. I love it. So much fun. Absolute blast. It's my favorite game every year since the first time I tried it. There we go, dude. Yes.
Awesome.
I'm excited about that. I'm excited the Airsoft Challenge program is involved because I always like them coming out. They're cool dudes. They love to play airsoft. And that just by having them associated, I know that I'll at least get some dudes out from Reno, probably regulars who come to the Airsoft Challenge program games a lot. So, I'm hoping for that for some of the dudes I don't normally see at our locals, but coming out from like Reno or whatever. By talking to the fields themselves, I'm hoping to get the regulars from those fields to at least want to like spread their wings a little, maybe play at one or two of the other fields. I don't expect anybody but Storm Riders, Foreign Legionnaires to make it all 3 days just because it's going to be grueling. There's going to be a lot of airsoft. It's also like budgeting to go to these different places, spending BBs. I'm not going to lie, like through to those 3 days, I'll probably go through at least 2, probably 3 bags of BBs.
Right. Yeah.
It's not going to be cheap on gas. It's not going to be super easy for everybody to make all the games. Right. Which is why I made it specifically like an event thing that I'm inviting people to, but it's all open play. Like there's no connection between any of them. We're doing the raffle Sunday. If you don't make it Sunday, you're out of luck. Sorry. But if you can't make it Friday or Saturday, I'm not going to, hold anything against you. There's 3 opportunities to come out. I want everybody to come out and play. And really, what really I'm excited about is there's a few of the Legionnaires who said like they're going to try, they're going to schedule. Dan in particular was the first one who's like, I'm going to look into really coming out. And I'm like, Dan,
perfect. Let's go.
Anything. He's just tall over there in the corner, but I'm like, great.
Yeah.
And that's what really got me excited about it is a few of the Legionnaires who are like, dude, that would be rad. I'm going to look into this. Who's like, seriously. And I would love for more people to come around and experience what airsoft is like for us. Also, I just want to help people broaden their horizons, right? People from each of these fields might not have played at the other fields. I play with dudes at All Patriot all the time that's the only field they play at. They've never tried CQB or Sac County or anywhere. And I'm like, dude, you gotta spread out. You gotta try different things. And so by doing this, I hope to open some people's eyes to different types of airsoft and the different ways they can play it, even as small as area as Northern California, which is not small relative. Like I was talking to Tolan today, right? And we were talking about the fires in LA. And I'm completely safe from them because that's more than the distance that Belgium's longest point is between me and LA and still the same state.
Yeah, exactly.
This is like 300 miles away sort of thing. So even Northern California is not a small thing, but it's enough that traveling less than 2 hours, I could play all these different types of airsoft and have these all available to me, all these different experiences. And I think that's a really cool idea and a really cool thought that we have so much here that people can explore.
For sure. And I think you mentioned something earlier, but we were talking about how organizing events and stuff, you said, well, if it's something that Phil and Pat can do, like why can't I do that myself? And the reality is what you're demonstrating by doing this is actually a lot of the things that we want to see in airsoft in our community, in our immediate communities I'm talking about. We actually get a lot more say potentially than people might realize. Like there's no secret sauce to doing any of this other than having the desire and the drive to go ahead and say, you know what? I think I can do this. And then going ahead and putting it together. And to your point, like there's no real reason that people from Stockton can't play at CZ, right? Or can't play at GamePod. But at the same time, they might have to have a reason to do that. And you can be that reason, right? This event can be that reason that introduces them. And then it's like one of my favorite sayings, you can't unring a bell. Once they've done that, I mean, unless they hate it, in which case, that's a different conversation, right? But like if they go to CZ and they're like, oh, I just drove 2 hours and I had this experience, like to your point, you're broadening that horizon and you're going to be the reason that happens. Because if this event didn't happen, they wouldn't have done that. And all it took for that to occur was for you to say, oh, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do an event and I'm going to call it Get Smoked. And then here we are, right? And then fast forward 4 months from now or 3.5 months from now, they're having that experience that we're talking about, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I know for sure there's people who follow like the Airsoft Challenge program or follow you guys that would not have otherwise heard about it. And I think it's really cool that, that whole group is out there in the airsoft world and they might be coming in because like you said, just changing, if you make the long drive one time and you realize you have that experience, then you're more willing to make the long drive in another direction. The first time I drove to Reno for airsoft seemed like a chore. Mm-hmm. It was a 3.5 hour drive. Not huge, nothing real big, but it seemed like I'm just driving 3.5 hours for airsoft. But I had such a great time. And then the next time when they were like, we're going to CZ paintball in Oroville. And I'm like, that's less than 2 hours. That's nothing. I'm going to go up. And suddenly I'm playing all these different places, all these different games. And airsoft, like when you've only got one field, you can only play on one field, man.
Tell me about it.
No matter how you change it, no matter how you decorate it, you're going to have to leave Newfoundland to play different airsoft. Yep. But we don't have that problem around here, man. Like, I just want people to see that that's an option. And also, like, if you want to see these things around you, these are all dudes. Like James Caber at CZ Paintball, one of the owners, he's just a vet. He's just like me. He's just a dude who decided he wanted to go do a thing. And this is what he did with his time and built a business around the way he wants to play airsoft. Mm-hmm. The dudes at All Patriot Airsoft, they're enthusiastic. One of them owns America Airsoft in Rancho Cordova, dope airsoft store. If you guys are in the Sacramento area and you want to check it out, Rancho Cordova, America Airsoft. There's also America or Airsoft Extreme around here. They're pretty cool too. Lots of airsoft actually around this area. A lot of people don't realize it, and it's there. But these are all, like I said, just normal dudes doing normal things, and you could be that change. If you don't see a particular or a type of airsoft that you like in your community, if you don't see one of these field types around you, find it. It's there, or it's waiting to be there, and you could be a part. You could show a demand. You could show hope for it, or just by going a little further in your travels and supporting your airsoft and showing the world that airsoft is a viable business. It's a viable sport. It's something we can have, even in smaller areas where we don't have a constant influx of rentals or whatever. I mean, you guys have been in a community for 15 years strong where there's zero shops. There's one field. There's 40, 50 dudes who come out regularly.
Well, I wouldn't say regularly, but at least once or twice a year. But I think, you raise a really good point as well with the driving. I mean, when we went to Iron Horse, Colin drove almost 24 hours to be there, something like that, something just ridiculous.
Yeah, and then he played like a hero.
Yeah, and once you've done that, I mean, like you were saying, it's only 6 hours. That's pretty good. Now, obviously, I recognize there's some places that are really remote, so you might not have the luxury. Like, for example, for us, I drive 6 hours. Guess where I am? Still on my island, still with only on one airsoft field. But that doesn't mean that you can't sort of take the steps that we've done. Okay, well, you travel, right? We're definitely hitting a field on the mainland, an event on the mainland this year. Don't really know where yet. You're going to figure all that out. But I mean, we went to Iron Horse. Anything else is possible. And so similarly, I think it just took that one person, or in my case, John and I, to go and do that, to come back and say, oh yeah, that expands your horizon. It's worth doing. And then to your point, you enable people to discover a little bit more. And whether that's someone in your immediate community who's like, oh, I'm going to go to Orville and play at CZ, and they've never done that before, or someone who decides to like drive up from, Alabama, right? To be like, I'm going to see what the paintball, or maybe not drive from Alabama, it's probably quite a haul, but like, you know what I mean? Go
Yeah.
up from Alabama and see what paintball is or airsoft is like in Stockton area. They get that experience as well. And maybe they're like, okay, well, next time I play, maybe that's where I want to go, right? And that becomes, the travel destination. Not suggesting that that's what's going to happen, but it's possible. And
Well, yeah,
if you were the reason for that, that's pretty cool.
I mean, like all the famous airsoft fields that you can think of just started off, except for like Guardian Center, places like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Off is just some dudes like Ballahak. People talk about Ballahak everywhere in airsoft. But it was just a dude doing a field once, right? Like, do your field of dreams, right? Like, if they build it, they will come sort of situation. Encourage the people around you to play airsoft. Encourage yourself to not be limited by what you thought this morning, what you thought yesterday, what you thought last year, what you're thinking right now. Let your plans expand and go on, and think hard about what you can actually accomplish and do. Like, these were airsoft dreams for us a year and a half ago. And then there were 30 adults who came together on your call for a weekend to do a thing.
Yeah.
And so there's no reason anybody couldn't do that, right? Like,
totally. Because the reality is, like, I'm just a dude, right? Like, I have a regular day job. Like, this is, we create content, whatever. This is not our job. Like, this is something we do for fun. We're just normal individuals. And so if we can do that, like, anybody can. And the thing is, though, maybe you tried and it doesn't work, right? To paraphrase someone that some of you might know or might not know, good. You've just found one other thing that doesn't work. Good, right? Try something else, right? Get back on the saddle. Try something different, right? If it doesn't work, good, right? If it does work, great, awesome, right? And I know your event is going to work because, well, we know what we're getting into, so that's a different conversation. But if anybody's listening to this and they're thinking maybe we could do something like that in, I don't know, South Carolina or Florida, maybe wherever, it doesn't really matter, maybe Europe somewhere, give it a shot. I mean, worst case scenario, doesn't work, and you at least you've tried something. But I want to ask Matt, so how are people gonna join you? Like, what is the process? If I'm listening to this and I'm like, Matt sounds like a dope dude, and let me tell you, he is. Matt sounds like a dope dude. How do I join Matt at Get Smoked?
All right, so here's where the technical details come in, I guess. There are 3 major airports and 1 small regional airport that would service you. The smallest and most difficult to get to, but will occasionally run deals out of some places because of whatever region, is the Stockton Airport. There is an airline called Allegiant that flies from Stockton to a few specific places, Las Vegas, a few other holiday destinations. If you're near one of those, it might be worth it. They can be like less than $60 round trip. Then we've got the 3 other major airports in the area. The least attractive, the least useful would be San Jose. I don't like San Jose. It's the nasty part of the Bay Area. There's not as much easy access to transportation, stuff like that. But from there, you could get an Uber, a Lyft, rent a car, or whatever, make it to Stockton in a couple of hours. That's my least favorite option. One of the easier options, and one that I take myself and I had Ben do, is the San Francisco Airport serves almost everywhere. And then there is a Bay Area Rapid Transit, which is a train system, which just runs around the Bay Area, but it runs directly from the San Francisco Airport to Antioch. So if you decide you want to stay in Antioch, since we're going to be playing our first games there on Friday or nearby, it'll go right there. I'm taking the day off on Friday. If you reach out to me, we'll talk about transport, see if we can't either arrange a ride pool, something like that. I know that I have already committed to a few dudes picking them up, but I've got a big van. And I'm willing to drive people anywhere between Antioch, Stockton, Lodi, nearby cities that might have other things or other accommodations. Obviously, Sacramento is going to be a big one. They'll have hotels, whatever, out of the wazoo, which brings us to our last airport, which is the Sacramento airport. It's about 50 minutes north of me. I'm willing to pick folks up there if they want to arrange beforehand, early Friday, because I've already committed to Antioch Friday afternoon. And so those are the major airports, the easiest ways to get in order of ease to least easy is Stockton, Sacramento, San Francisco, San Jose.
Gotcha.
As we've discussed, the Bay Area Rapid Transit's a very simple system. If you guys end up going to San Francisco, reach out to me on the Discord or comment on this video, and I check all my comments everywhere on your videos, anywhere, because I'm subscribed to you guys. All that stuff comes back to me. So if you guys comment on this video, you hop in the Discord and talk to me. We've got a thread going in the Discord about this that will be continually updated with everything we do. I'll be posting on my Instagram, Mudville 6mm. It's like Mudville _6mm. You've got my smiling face right on the front of it. I assume that at some point there will be updates about this on the Airsoft Challenge program, CZ Paintball, and APA's own Instagram pages. They're all pretty active on it. So we'll keep you updated. I'll do my very best to keep people updated as this goes through. I don't plan at this point to have any like kind of combo ticket or anything. You'll have to pay the open fee at each one of these fields to play. I know that CZ Paintball is $25 and All Patriot Airsoft is $35 for the full day of play. I don't know how much GamePod is. I haven't looked into it yet. That's one of the things we will be updating. I'll put it all on the poster. I'm going to make a poster. I'll be updating the poster as we get either hopefully, people putting into the raffle, or like it's obviously going to have like a nice big Storm Riders Foreign Legion logo on there, big Airsoft Challenge Program logo. And then we'll go from there and have the fields and whatnot as they agree and say, yeah, we're cool with being on the poster and all. So yeah, there's the airports. You could always drive up. It's a major intersection from either I-5 or 99. Both pass through Stockton. They're the two major interstates that go all the way from Northern to Southern California. It's easy enough to get here from almost any point in Nevada. You end up going through Sacramento, but GPS, all that at this point. There are, because of our port, there are a lot of motels, hotels, accommodations originally meant for long haul truckers, shippers, stuff like that. We have leftovers. So there are usually motels and hotels available around Stockton or Lodi specifically. But again, if you can't find anything around there, dude, Sacramento's right there. It's our capital. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but it'll have some hotels ready for 420 or just a random weekend, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Just a random weekend.
Well, I guess it's Easter weekend, but it's not exactly one of those huge travel holidays,
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of letting you know specifically, best way to get in touch with you is with the Discord, right?
Always the Discord. Yeah, dude. I can't push the Storm Riders Discord hard enough. That's where we go to talk tech, talk about events, talk about food, talk about anything related to Airsoft, vaguely Airsoft related, something that Airsofters like that isn't even close to Airsoft, but we all put up with because we're all there and buddies. All sorts of stuff like that, right? But I'm on the Discord every day. I'm not a mod. I would never want to be, but I may as well be with how often I'm there.
Yes.
If you ping me at Matt the Storm Wizard in there, I will answer. I love like Airsoft. The Storm Riders Discord is my hangout, right? Like that's everybody's got their little doom scroll thing. The moment I pick up my phone, it's Discord right there. I don't look at my other Discords except for CZ Paintball. They've got one, so I check their like events and stuff. But otherwise, I find a lot of places get really loud and active with nonsense.
And like you said, we'll make sure that as you get more details about the event, that'll get updated in like the relevant threads and stuff, so that people who are interested can get the information that they need like right up front.
It will always be in the Discord. Go to the event attendance channel, to the Get Smoke 2025 thread. I will be updating that as we go along. Send me questions there, and I will answer them as soon as possible.
I'm really excited for this. I mean, I know it's not possible for me to be there, unfortunately. I would really love to be there. And I mean, if I win the lottery in the intervening period, then I will be there. But if that doesn't happen, unfortunately, it's not in the cards. But this is exactly the kind of event that builds the type of community that we really want to have, which is just to say, all comers, man, let's go. You want to play some Airsoft? Let's play some Airsoft. But also in a way that we're pushing ourselves. Like we're pushing the envelope. Like playing 3 days in a row like that, lots of airsofters will never do that in their entire time playing airsoft, right? So I
No,
think it's really cool stuff to see.
you're right. You're absolutely right. Because there's many airsofters that won't make it through to the end of the first day because that's just the nature of the game.
Yeah.
But for those of you who hang out the full 3 days, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be doing it. I'll probably be smoked out myself by that third day, but we're going to have a great time. Come explore a little bit of California with me.
Yeah. Well, Matt, thanks so much for coming on and talking to us about Get Smoked. I'm looking forward to the updates. We'll talk a little bit about the swag that we'll get ready. And yeah, so thanks for sharing with that. And thanks for being on today, man.
Thanks so much. Hey, you guys have a great day. Thanks for listening to Call Your Hits.
Take care, everyone.